speaking of like your upbringing and the dynamics you had to go through, as far as I know we talked a little bit earlier about like the struggles you went through, but I want to talk about like let's go back all the way to like maybe when you were 5 years old. Little Will is growing up.
Yeah.
How's the house? How's the dynamics of the house at that time? And what are some of the things that you went through during that time?
When I was 5 years old, I grew up. Honestly, I lived not far from this area right here. I mean, Santa Margarita. If anybody knows Santa Margarita off of Imperial, the apartments is right up the street, maybe 5 minutes that way. And I also lived in Crestwood, which is 5 minutes up Imperial the other way. Mm-hmm. So I'm Southeast, born and raised, right?
Right.
And if there was any struggles in my household, I wasn't aware of it. I knew my dad loved me. My mom loved me. I had all my cousins and my sisters, and we were really close. Yes, we lived in the ghetto, but I wasn't aware of it. I knew I was loved. And for me as a kid, I mean, what more did I really need?
Right. Yeah. The same for me. So like I was telling you earlier, I grew up in Southeast as well.
Right. And
grew up in a great household, both parents in the house or whatnot. And growing up, I didn't know that we were in a quote unquote bad neighborhood. Right. I was like, man, well, we have fun. We live in San Diego. We got the beach. Like, this is amazing.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty good out here.
So yeah. So the reason why I keep going back and forth with the dynamics here is because a lot of people that don't know, things that happened at that time in Southeast, how Southeast was at that time, they're like, well, my family, my extended family's from Detroit. They're like, well, San Diego's beautiful. It's a beach town. Like, what do you, where's the gangs coming from? Where's the drugs coming? Where's all that coming from? And you got to understand that in those little areas, in those cities, there's still stuff that goes on. So, let's keep progressing with your timeline here. You're jumping from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. What's going on during that time?
So at this time, like I said, I was still living in San Diego. My parents, they split up, and honestly, for the most of my life, I don't even believe they were ever together. My two older sisters, we had the same mom, same dad. So that's, but it was like my mom. She always tell the story that my mom always wanted a boy, so they always stayed together as long as they can have the boy. So my two older sisters, they had one, let's try again. They had another one, let's try again. Got the boy, all right, I don't want you no more. It's over with. Right. So all my life, they weren't together, but they were together. They raised us together. Right. So around 6.5, on close to 7, we moved. My mom and my two sisters, we all moved to Florida, Pensacola, Florida. My grandfather was out there, my mom's sister. So we all moved out there. And, just to put a bow on that part, my mom ended up passing away while we were out there. It wasn't the best environment at times, but again, I was loved. I had my cousins, my grandfather, went through a couple tumultuous moments, but I was loved. And my mom, she was the best. Yeah. So my mom passed away when I was 8 years old, and my dad, he remarried. Well, he got married for the first time. Yeah. To my stepmom, and they had a child. And when my mom passed away, they brought us back to San Diego to live with them, me and my two sisters. And it was difficult. Mm-hmm. It was difficult. I'm older now, so I understand, everything's not perfect. People are trying. But as a child, it was very difficult because in that house, it felt like two homes. Right. And my sisters, we had our family, and then my dad and my stepmom and my little sister, they had theirs. Right. And so we felt like we weren't accepted. Mm-hmm. And so growing up from 8, 9, 10, although I knew my dad loved me, and my stepmom, she wasn't a terrible person. I'm not going to, portray her as that. But at the same time, as a child, we felt, we knew we weren't loved. We felt, we knew we were just there. Like, here's your food, here's this, but, do your thing. Yeah. So that's what my childhood was like. And so growing up, I'll go, 10, 11, 12. We ended up living off of University, and then we moved to Skyline in the 7th grade. You know, Skyline neighborhood, and I started going to Keeler, and really, honestly, that's where I started to really mess up.
Yeah.
You know, before that, I was in gifted classes. I was in I was really on top of it. You know, my dad, we had daily report cards. You know, we had to go to every single class, and I did my homework. I did this, I did that. So he was on top of it.
Yeah.
And life brought him more struggles with work and everything like that. So he became relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, no knock on him, but that's just the reality of it. He started to become relaxed, and we already didn't have a mother.
Yeah.
And so now at moments we felt like we didn't have a father who was always on us. You know, we knew he was there. We knew we loved us. I'm going to keep on saying that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so there was a void. And we filled that void. I know I felt that void out there in the street.
Right.
You know? Used to go down to the Boys and Girls Club right there on Imperial, you know, 69th and Imperial or 68th and Imperial. Yeah. And that's where it began. You know, the older kids, they embraced me. I didn't have older brothers, and my older male cousins were dispersed around the city or back in Florida at the time. And so the older guys in my neighborhood, they embraced me, big bros, you know, and I looked up to them, and I wanted to do the things that they did. Right. And so I stopped worrying about school so much and started worrying about impressing them, you know, and it felt good. And it was like, I did bad because they did bad, so I did bad. Let me, you know, steal this or do that or, you know, things like that. And they embraced me. And so the more bad I did, the more love I received. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, to me, in my perspective, I didn't have that so much with my father as well. My father wasn't very, like, physically loving, like hugging me or speaking to me like, you know what, son, you did a good job or anything like that. He was just working his butt off, you know. And so I found I had a church community when I was a kid. Right. And I started getting into, I had friends that were into like skateboarding and wrestling and stuff like that. So I 5th grade, I was focused on music, wrestling, skateboarding, all that stuff. And 6th grade, we come back and all my friends that were around me, they're like, blood. I'm like, what happened? You know, we were in elementary school. We're talking about wrestling. And
now y'all talking about some blood. Who are you? What is going on?
What happened? You know? And so it was crazy because I did move away from the neighborhood where my main group of friends were that all, you know, were now associated with the Lincoln Park Bloods. Then in the 6th grade, I moved to a different neighborhood, and I was closer to my childhood friend growing up. And he was more focused on like video games and wrestling and skateboarding and stuff. So maybe, you know, by chance,
that's what you gravitated towards.
You know, that's what happened, you know. And the reason why I say that is because you were telling me that you grew up going to church and all that stuff. I grew up going to church. But that isn't, and a lot of those guys that became Bloods, they grew up in church as well, you know, so it doesn't take away it doesn't fill every single void of, you know, needing love and acceptance. I think the core reason why people join gangs or, you know, have struggles with, you know, the environment is that they're looking for love and acceptance.
Yeah. You know, at that age of, you know, once you hit puberty, 13, 14, 15, those are your peers have more influence on you than your parents at that age. And that's psychology right there. You know, like they have more influence on you than your parents. So the people you surround yourself with, you got to make sure your kids are surrounded by the right type of people because they're going to influence or your kid is going to influence them, vice versa. That's just the way it is. That's human nature. Yeah. So you were able to be influenced by the right people, and that's why you are where you are.
Yeah.
You know?
So when did you start understanding, okay, these are gang members that I'm looking up to, and they, you know, this is a part, like I'm becoming a part of this gang culture. How did you realize that?
I would say, so I moved to Skyline when I was 12. And shortly after, I honestly didn't know I was in Skyline. Now my stepmom's older brothers, they're from Skyline. They're G's from Skyline, but I was a kid and I didn't really associate that with them.
Right.
I just knew, oh, they some gangsters.
Right.
Didn't really associate that side of it. So I would say around 13 is really where I'm like, oh, this is what it is. I was just doing bad, and I heard, okay, this Skyline, this and this and that, but I didn't really understand the streets. I was always, we have the tops and the bottoms in Skyline, so I was always in the bottoms.
Yeah.
But now 13, now I'm like, okay, now I'm claiming Skyline. That's what it was. But now 14 years old, I'm off the porch now. I'm really, I'm messing up.
Yeah.
I'm really messing up now. I'm not the worst kid. I'm not doing the worst, but I'm doing enough to where, I'm a gang member.
Yeah.
This is just the way it is.
Yeah.
And things just got progressively worse as far as school. I was always good in school when I applied myself. But now I got kicked out of Keeler in my 8th grade year. Then I went to Alba, got kicked out of Alba. Then I went to O'Farrell, I got kicked out of O'Farrell. Then I went to Summit, and I got kicked out of Summit. I went to University City. I got kicked out of University City. Then I went to Garfield. I got kicked out of Garfield.
Oh, my goodness.
From Garfield, I went to I moved to Texas for a couple months, came back, went to Palomar, got kicked out of Palomar, and went to Summit again and got arrested. But in that time, I ended up meeting a family, the people I call mom and I call them pops now. They, I always say they're my adopted family. Although I didn't get adopted, but it's the best way to describe what they meant to me. So I was messing up in school, and my dad was like, okay, you're not just, I'm getting kicked out, I'm getting suspended, I'm doing all these things around 14. And he like, well, you're not just going to be sitting in the house.
Right.
So friend of the family, church family, they had a restaurant in Chula Vista, and I started going to work there on the weekends. And they became a part of my family because they showed me something different. Right. Like I have a lot of family in San Diego, and I love them. And I would say it's ghetto. I don't know how else to say it, but I love it. Right. Like the love was there. They like we drinking, what I'm saying, cousin, we having a good time playing down. Like that's what it was, but it's a lot of intense conversations to say the least, but it was all love. Right. But when I went with them and they would start inviting me to family events and do things like that, there was no raise. It was just like, oh, this is different. Right. It was just different, and they accepted me wholeheartedly. Right. And from 14 to 17, I would say 15 to 17, I had a full-time job. Because I've been getting kicked out of school, so now I'm in continuation schools. Yeah. So I would literally work a full-time job, 15, 16, 17. So that also allowed me to miss a lot of things that my friends were doing, which kept me from like losing myself fully. And I also had, they helped build my character. Yeah. So even though I was doing wrong, I still had something in me to say, you know what, I want different. Yeah. I want different. But at that time, I was a kid and I felt too loyal to my friends. Yeah. And I can't do different. I'm not strong enough to separate myself from this. Right. So that was my ultimate downfall. I always say loyal to a fault. Yeah. Because I was loyal to them, even though I knew this isn't something that I wanted anymore. Yeah.
It wasn't something that was going to be advantageous to your life. Right. And then, so at what age did you, end up in prison?
So I caught my case January. The crime happened January 18th, 2006. Mm-hmm. Now, rewind just a couple months. In November, December of 2005, I ended up picking out my funeral song because I told my family I'm going to be dead or I'm going to be in jail in 2006 because the path that I'm on. Yeah. I'm not strong enough to take myself off of it, and I know where it's going to lead me. Right. And 2006, January 18th, I was a part of a murder. And February 7th of 2006, a couple weeks later, I was arrested for first-degree murder and attempted murder. And, so I went through that court proceeding, and we ended up pleading out. We took a package deal. Nobody ended up getting life, so we took a package deal for manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, and a gang enhancement, and I was sentenced to 21 years in prison.
21 years,
Yes.
and you're not the one that pulled the trigger.
No.
That is nuts. That's crazy. How old were you when you were sentenced?
I was 18 years old when I was sentenced. I was 17 years old when I was arrested. So I fought my case for 15 months. I fought my case for 15 months. And I was in Donovan at 18. I turned 19 years old in Donovan State Prison reception yard. Yeah.
That is nuts, man.
Yeah.
That's heavy. Like, that's super heavy, bro.
Yeah, well, it's only two things going to happen when you leave that life. You know, you die or you go to jail.
Yeah.
And if you're in that life, that's the only thing that's going to happen. There's no way out. There's no way around it. You're not going to ascend to great heights.
Yeah.
Sorry to burst your bubble, guys, but you're not going to do anything other than go to jail or die.
Yeah.
Now,
so
they're
selling something different on
they're
TV.
selling something different on TV. I mean, those are the realities. That's not to say that you can't change before you reach those points, but if you continue on that path and saying this is what I'm going to do, then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. To be 18, I joined the military at 17 years old.
You was in the military? I was in the pen.
Yeah.
I was in the county jail, juvenile hall. Yeah.
That's
looking
crazy.
at 75 to life. Those are the time that I was looking at 75 to life, voluntary manslaughter, first degree murder in the commission of a gang act, which is you basically kill somebody twice. So that's 50 to life, and then 15 to life for attempted murder, and then the gang enhancement. So yeah, 75 to life is what I was looking at. How
did the conviction affect your family, like your dad and all of that? My dad ended up all my immediate family, they lived in Texas. As you could imagine, I mean, my sisters, they were heartbroken. My sisters, we've always been close. Yeah, always been close. My sisters, they were hurt. My dad, he was hurt. I'm his only son. Yeah. My adopted family, they were hurt, but even more so, like that's why I loved them so much, because they didn't really have to be there, but they were there the entirety of my county jail, juvenile hall, prison, out to when I came home. Always on the phone. If I need a package, if I need whatever I needed, they were always there. Letters, cards they were always there. I can't say the same for my dad. Yeah. You know, I won't say the same for my dad. You know, but for them, they were always there, always there. So yeah, it was tough on them. Yeah, it was tough. So there's an opportunity for you to take all that the whole path you've lived, take all of that and do something with it. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can either just like, okay, that happened, go start a business, make a lot of money, and buy a house and have some kids, get a wife, and that's it. And you didn't choose that path. You said, you know what? This happened to me, and I'm going to do something about it. And I'm going to give back to the community. So talk about your present, what you're doing now, from everything from giving back to the youth and to all the way to, you being an entrepreneur.
So first and foremost, I want to say that, helping the community and making money, they're not mutually exclusive. I want to be successful, but I've always loved kids, and I've always been passionate about, letting my experiences, everything that I went through, all my scars, everything, help them go on a different path. Yeah. I did it, so you don't have to. Right. Listen to my stories. Learn from my stories. Right. And so that's what I'm passionate about, helping kids out, at-risk youth. I mean, at risk doesn't necessarily mean that you're about to go to jail, but you can be surrounded by individuals who put you at risk of joining a gang, put you at risk of committing a crime, things like that. So I love kids, and this is my community. Southeast is my community. And even bigger than that, my community is anybody who's going through something. Right. So right now, man, since I've been home, it feels like I've been going non-stop, and a really great point is this, that my mentor always tells me, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Right. And I've been able to surround myself with incredible individuals who have poured into me, and I've had so many opportunities, one of which it all started, honestly, from starting at the gym, the
Yeah.
gym Chula Vista. I was able to go interview, and they gave me a job. They took a shot on me. I mean, they didn't have to.
Right.
I got an ankle monitor on. I came home. I came home from prison, but I was still in prison.
Yeah.
They let me out February 17th
Yeah.
of 2022.
Wow.
But technically, I was still a part of CDC,
Right.
the California Department of Correction. I had ankle monitor on. I was in a halfway house. I couldn't go and do anything I wanted to, right?
Right.
So my actual release date from CDC is September 2nd, 2022. So
wow.
that's the day I was actually released from prison, but I was able to interview them as an inmate, and they hired me as an inmate. I built up a good rapport. My co-host, my friend Steven, who you interviewed, they had a podcast, and he asked me like, "Hey, would you like to do our podcast?" And I said, no. Honestly, because I had an idea for a podcast.
Yeah.
And, he asked me, "Well, what's your idea?" And I told him. He said, "Well, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do it." Just like that.
Yeah.
He took a shot on me. He don't have to, man, this dude doesn't have to
He
he didn't have to do this at all.
Yeah.
And he took a shot.
Yeah.
And so, my idea came from being in prison, and I saw on TV, I was watching Tamron Hall, and there was an individual, he was a part of the Jordan brand and things like that. And he's big in Nike executive and everything like that. And what I didn't know, what a lot of people didn't know, he was a gang member and served 4 years in prison for murder.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And now this is where you're at? And then I heard the story of Shine. If you know Shine, he did 10 years in prison, goes back to Belize, going to run for president. He's a senator over there. Like, what? Like, people need to hear that your worst moment does not define you.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. You can come home and do amazing things.
Yeah.
Look at what these people are doing. And so that's where the idea for the podcast came from. And so I'm telling Steve, we put our heads together and we like Post P Chronicles, your post-prison experience. It's chronicling our post-prison experience. And I like to say all the time that your prison is different from my prison.
Yeah.
Everyone's prison is different. A prison is just something that kept you from being the best version of yourself. It kept you down. That was the foot on your neck. That was your prison. And once you get that foot off your neck, once you get out of that prison, out of that despair, now you have a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can help someone else who is going through the exact same thing as you, and now you're the light at the end of their tunnel.
Yep.
So that's where it came from. And man, we've been doing it, man, for
That's
a year
crazy.
strong. We've been doing it. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Breaking the fourth wall, Lonnie. That was crazy, right?
Yeah, man.
You should be a preacher, man. That's man, that's cool. Because it's putting things in perspective is like, dude, you're doing all this. You had a little over a year actually outside of prison.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got a job. I got a podcast going on. I got fit, right?
Yeah.
And then you got all these other things. You're like, I'm doing this too. I'm doing this. And so a lot of us that, I like what you said about the prison mindset, because a lot of us have a mindset, a limited mindset, where it's like, well, I can't do a podcast. I can't start a business. I can't get in shape. Like, no, those are hard things to do. Like, I don't have time. And it's a prison. It's like they're a prison to their own thoughts and their own mindset. You know what I mean? And I like that the fact that in your podcast, you don't have to just talk to prisoners or people that were in jail. You could talk to anyone, and
we have,
and then you have, especially on the red light one that was dope. I like that. And you just talk to people, and they just share their story, they share their heart, and it's really quick, and people get inspired by it, and I'm inspired just listening to you. I'm like, usually I talk a lot more on these podcasts, and I'm like, man, this guy's got a dynamic story, And you're going to Uganda? Right?
Yeah, man, we're going to Uganda October 16th to the 26th. Post P Chronicles has had a great opportunity to partner with the Gym Chula Vista. And so what we're doing, we're going to have a fundraiser, which is going to be this is my birthday party. Like, I'm not doing nothing for my birthday. My birthday is August 8th. And
how old are you turning?
I'm turning 35.
All right.
35 August 8th. And instead of doing something for her, I said, you know what, let me just do this. We're already doing the fundraiser. I'm going to do this for my birthday. And we're going to be at the Gentle Penguin on 3rd Avenue in Chula Vista on August 6th, Sunday, August 6th from 6 to 12. And what we're doing, all the proceeds go to helping the orphanages that we're going to visit, a specific orphanage in Uganda. And also we're going to visit some prisons. That's where Post P comes in. And we're going to go to some prisons. We're going to donate, because a lot of these prisons out there don't have just the basic necessities, just some toothpaste or deodorant or some underwear, some socks, or any, like, just the basic necessities, So we're going to donate those things, and we're going to, talk to some people and just, highlight those stories. And, that's what we're going to do. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm going to
excited
Uganda,
for you.
Man. I'm going to Africa,
Right,
bro.
right.
Like, I just a year ago, I know where I was at,
right.
And now look at where I'm going. And so just my world has opened up to so many different things. And I haven't stopped, and my mind is not limited to what I can do or where I can go, and that's just something that I like to tell a lot of people. Like, I get messages from people I was in prison with, they hit me up like, bro, you're an inspiration. I'm like, man, I love you, bro. You can do the same thing. You don't have to walk my path to do great things.
Right.
Just know you don't have to go back to what you used to do.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
It's money out here.
Yeah.
It's money the right way.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not mutually exclusive. I want to make money.
Yeah.
I'm going to make money.
Yeah.
And I don't have to look over my shoulder when I'm making it.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is. Yeah.
a beautiful
thing.
So
the thing about money is, like, you need money, right?
Yeah.
Everybody needs money. You got to take care of your family. You got to take care of yourself, right? And money is a tool to do other stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody needs it. The biggest thing with me with money is that what are you, the heart posture? Why are you doing that? What are you doing? What are you doing with that money? And I look at that. I look at, what you're doing for your birthday as an example. Anybody on your birthday, you could do anything. You go to the club. You've been in prison for a very long time. If I was in prison for a very long time, I'd be like, nah, I'm just going to go to the club. I finally got some money.
I've been clubbing. I be out there in the streets. I ain't going to lie to you.
Well, I'm saying it's your birthday, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's what, in my mindset, I'm like, dude, you want to go out there. You want to party, know.
It's actually my first birthday free.
So
it's
your
my
first
one.
So your first birthday free, you decide to do a fundraiser in Uganda.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Moving forward in the future. So there's 2 points here. There's you're establishing a business right now. And then also, so talk about that. And then also, where do you see yourself going in the future? Like, what is Will's legacy? What are people going to remember about you and what you did on the earth and your time here?
It's crazy you asked that, because I was in a group in prison, and a part of that group, there was a question, what is your legacy? And that question hit home, because I said, what is my legacy?
Yeah.
Right now, if I die today, what will people think about me? I did way more harm than good. I hurt people. Yes, I poured into some people. I didn't burn any bridges with my family. My family loves me. I had friends, they loved me. But at the same time, I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything. And I said, you know what I want my legacy, when I want people to think about me, if I die, I want to say, man, he made my life better. He made me feel good about myself. I always say I have a toxic trait. My toxic trait is, if you hang around me long enough, you're going to think you can do anything.
Yeah.
You're going to think that you are the most beautiful, the most intelligent, the smart, whatever it is that you think less of, you're going to think more of yourself after hanging out with me. And that's what I want my legacy to be. I want people to feel like they are amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I want my legacy to be.
Man, when you talk today, I felt like, dang, man, I can do more. Like, already, as you're talking. So I mean, just an encouragement, brother to brother. I have this understanding, I'm a spiritual man, but I can see spiritually that you're already giving out that energy to people, and they feel like that's why people want to be around you. Right? People want to connect with you because they feel like, oh man, I feel encouraged. I feel like I can do more. I could feel like I'm important. I'm valued. So all those things that us as young black men in Southeast that we were lacking, now your whole purpose and mission is, I'm going to give that to as many and as much people as I can for as long as I can. That's like your whole mission now, which is amazing. This is amazing, brother. As far as your business, so talk a little bit about your business, because we have about 5 minutes left.
No problem. So the business that I have is called Tap In Fitness. And so fitness has always been a part of my life. I remember my dad buying my first pair of 8-pound dumbbells from Champs and Bonita when I was 9 years old, and that's always been part of my life. And then the tap in part, I've been mentoring and I've been pouring into young life, to the kids and to young adults. That's just what I do, like even at the gym, that's just what I do. And that's what I love to do. People don't like people. I love people. I love talking to people. Whatever story you got, talk to me. Let's see if we can work something out. And so I just put those two together with my partner. And so what we're doing is, right now we have an opportunity, and we're putting it together where we are going to mentor and train at-risk youth. And specifically, our first contract will be with, foster youth. So there's a program, the foster youth, and we're going to go there and we're going to run a program where the first hour we're going to train. We're going to work out, do some yoga, do some HIIT train, whatever it is. That's what we're going to do. Break them down. And what training does and what working out does, it builds camaraderie. Yeah. And it lowers your walls, to be able to open up, because now you're not angry. You're tired. Right. You're tired. So now when we talk and what's going on in your life and how can we build your life? How can we build your career? Let's revamp some of those negative thoughts and patterns that you have. Let's start revamping them with this next hour. So that's what we're going to be doing. And that's Tap In Fitness. We work out and then we tap in.
That's dynamic. Yeah. Because usually those things are so separated, right, or it's just like you're correlating both of them, and they do match up. Like I have a friend that's here right now, LaToya, and she is the owner of Movement Matters Collective, where she has a Pilates studio. And I went into Pilates studio. I think I'm a pretty fit guy. I've been training since I was like 25 or something like that. And then I was in the military, and then I got to the Pilates studio, and they're like, stretch this and put your head back here. And I'm like, I'm not fit.
That yoga and Pilates, that's a whole different animal.
I'm like, I'm not fit. It was good, though, because she was trying to make me slow down and really get in tune with myself, my body. And I think those two correlate. When you're in tune with yourself, you're more aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And I think that if you get those youth, those foster kids to understand, to slow down, like, hey, watch your breathing, stretch. Okay, what are you thinking about right now? Let's talk.
Right.
Why are you thinking that way? I think that's going to be a beautiful thing. It's going to stop a lot of kids from doing the wrong things, making the wrong decisions, because they're not understanding why they're feeling a certain way, and they're not able to process it fully yet. And it'll stop them from doing the wrong thing. Right. Because they don't understand it.
I want to shut down the prison system.
Yeah.
That's my dream. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I always say you can't save everyone. Yeah. But my goal, my dream is to save the one who can save the many.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I appreciate you for being on the show today, brother.
You, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.